This study's main goal is to establish the grounds for creating a degree program on advertising that complies with the sector's needs, so to share it with the scientific community. To do so, we conducted a qualitative research using different techniques, such as documentary review, having an experts panel, and lastly, applying questionnaires to the most representative stakeholders. The term stakeholder was coined by Edward Freeman, philosopher and professor of a United States university, and refers to those groups and or individuals on whom an organization depends for survival, or who may affect or be affected by said organization. It is a useful term for understanding context and developing strategic planning processes. As baseline, it is worth mentioning that since the promulgation of the Royal Decree 1393/2007, and for the first time in the history of Spanish universities, states, authorities on education issues transfers to university the legal authority to produce their own proposal of university degree programs following their own criteria, which enabled that each one of them could but their own differentiated degrees from the rest of universities. Digital transformation is influencing in companies' processes and organization charts. Advertising agencies and communication consultancy companies needed to adapt their organizational structures, services, and professionals to new media. Specialized companies were born, the digital agencies, which, after the birth of the Web 2.0, are assuming more and more relevant positions considering the growth of digital investments by advertisers, especially due to the boom of social media and mobile phones. More and more, it is more compelling to incorporate a qualified staff who knows how to address public's demands on the different communicative spaces, which entails the challenge of looking for professionals with the needed capacities and knowledge. However, according to different authors consulted, such as Molina, Lopez, Corredor, Farfán, Acer, and Castelló, regarding this digital mutation, university students are not being educated with the speed and adaptation demanded by the stakeholders involved. This study proposes the following hypothesis. Before certain ever-changing and complex communicative reality and considering the current labor's demands regarding the new type of communication agencies, the adaptation of the advertising degree program in Universidad Europea seems necessary. This update requires the point of view of all stakeholders of greater influence, alumni, professionals from the sector, and scholars. The main objective of this hypothesis is setting the grounds for the creation of a new degree program in advertising that adjusts to the sector's needs, and that such grounds could be exportable to the rest of universities. We define the following secondary objectives as well. One, to analyze the suitability of every educational module of the current study program of Universidad Europea. Second, to assess the adjustments of competitor study programs to the new professional profiles demanded by the market and the incorporation of subjects of digital and or technological profile. Third, to review the trends of non-regulated education. Fourth, to assess the adjustments to professional practice of the education received by alumni. Results. In order to analyze and draw conclusions that allow us to design a new study program, we followed these methodological stages. Stage 1. Internal documentary review. This stage involved an in-depth analysis of the study program introduced in 2008 in the EU, and we conclude that some subjects belonging to that study programs are still valid, although they would need a more technological orientation, while others must disappear because their contents and competencies are already obsolete and do not adjust to professional practice. Stage 2. Documentary review of competitors. The first approaches showed that in the case of the Spanish university degrees, study programs are mainly theoretical and follow the concept of university, understood as universal knowledge. In the case of portfolio school, we observed that courses are quite focused on specialization and professionalization. The main features of these programs are, on one hand, that the teaching periods are lower and concentrates within a 6-month term, and on the other hand, the subject's content are flexible. Regarding the study of international institutions, we conclude that they value the development of interdisciplinary competencies on creativity and strategy and emphasize on the business dimension and the development of competencies such as the startup initiative and innovation. Furthermore, the necessary inclusion of big data and its analysis in the future study program was confirmed. Stage 3. Analysis of the sector, questionnaire design. Results of the questionnaires applied to professionals' employees showed that the main problems of advertising interns were that they are unaware about the international functioning of advertising procedures and lack of a specific training about the responsibilities of each one of them and the departments they interact with. Likewise, we identify a lack of habit to adjust creativity and strategy to advertisers' needs and resources. Thus, we identify 4 weaknesses: lack of practices in their area, lack of autonomy, impatience, and lack of realism while working. Employers demand alumni to have an optimistic attitude, entrepreneurial character, proactivity, that they undertake challenges and make suggestions and assume risks. Competencies are prioritized over theoretical knowledge. Additionally, the boom of digital was remarked. Regarding the analysis of questionnaires administered to EU alumni, the 3 most relevant aspects for the renewal of the CRIS study plans were the need of more practical subjects, a greater specialization in the field, where each one was developing his or her profession, and a greater approach towards the digital world. Stage 4. Analysis of results obtained in experts panels. The main reflections of these professionals is that it is essential for the profession that the schools and university delve into the knowledge of the types of advertising agencies existing today and in the work processes in each one of them. Despite there is a specialization from the third course, they consider it was very important to pay attention to the transmedia education in relation with the 2 basic pillars, advertising production and 360 strategy and creativity. Professionals conclude that this education could be offered in superior courses despite the specialty. There was an emphasis on offering students all tools needed in the digital environment, as well as a deepening on big data, data analysis and processing, and their graphic representation. Conclusions. The main finding of this study is that a new degree in advertising should integrate the practice of the advertising activity with the global context of creativity and strategy alumni will cope with competencies and labor projection. A new degree program adapted to the environment must address the challenges of society through technological innovation and the development of new formats and advertising communication formulas adapted further, with a global view as expression of the integrative values of all disciplines related to the advertising era, highlighting 6 thematic spheres. A. Fundamentals of communication and advertising. B. Technologies for communication and advertising. C. Advertising strategy. D. Advertising creativity. E. Marketing. And finally, F. Corporate communication.